As we discuss scientific notation, there are many ways to simplify. And so today we are going to learn how to multiply or divide each expression in scientific notation. Now, a couple of things to look at is when we are dividing, when I see this division symbol, I see that this first number or first expression goes on the top part is our numerator. See that dot right there stands for the numerator, and then our second number is our denominator. Therefore, when I have 3.6 times 10 to the first power divided by 6, well, how would I write 6 as in scientific notation? Well, I would multiply it by 10 to the 0 power. Because remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, so 6 times 1 is 6. The value does not change. Now we're going to simplify it even more by dividing the coefficients of the scientific notation. So we have 3.6 divided by 6 times 10 to the first divided by 10 to the 0 power. Now here I'm going to be using the quotient rule. And here I'm just going to divide 3.6 divided by 6, which gives me 0.6 times 10 to the first, subtract 0, which is going to keep it 10 to the first. Now, you might think that you are done, but not necessarily. And the reason why is one of the main rules with scientific notation is this lead number. This number has to be greater than 1 and less than 10. Well, 0.6 or 6/10 is less than 1. So we are going to have to move this decimal over one place to make it larger. And so when I make the number larger from 0.6 to 6, I have to make this exponent smaller. And so I'm going to drop it down to 10 to the 0 power. So my final answer is 6 times 10 to the 0 power. And we know 10 to the 0 power is 1. So 6 times 1 is my answer, 6. But the answer says, let's go ahead and keep it in scientific notation. So if your teacher asks you to keep it in scientific notation, you will give this answer. If they say to simplify it, you would give them this answer right here. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of our work, and let's pull our next one out. Now, this is going to be a fun one. This says we are going to multiply 2 times 10 to the second power times 3 times 10 to the first power. Now, I call this is just my own way, I call it the bow tie rule. I'm going to take my coefficient on each, so 2 times 3, and then I'm going to multiply my exponents together. Because I have to multiply the numbers or my integers together, and I have to multiply my exponents together. So I make this little bow tie. And so this 2 times the 3, see my big X times, and then I have 10 to the second power times 10 to the first power. Super easy, might look a little bit confusing at first, but 2 times 3 is 6 times. We're going to add our exponents using the product rule. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so it's going to be 10 to the third power. So our answer is 6 times 10 to the third power. Once again, if your teacher wants it in scientific notation, you will give them this answer. If not, I am going to write my 6 and then move my decimal place over 3 times, which adds 3 more zeros. And so my actual answer in standard form is 6,000. Pretty cool, huh? So let's go ahead and erase this. That bow tie rule was quite cool. And so I am going to delete all of these. And let's go ahead and move this one back. And let's our third and final problem. Here we have 7 times 2 times 10 to the first power. Now this 7, if I make it into scientific notation, I am going to keep the value, but I'm going to put 10 to the 0 power times, I'll put this in parentheses, and then I have 2 times 10 to the first power. Now here I go. I could do my bow tie rule again. I bring my 7 down and I multiply it by the 2. And then I'm going to bring my 10 to the 0 power. And I'm going to multiply it by 10 to the first power. So 7 times 2 is 14 times 10 to the 0. We're going to remember we add these exponents together on the product rule. And so we're going to have 10 to the first power. Are we done? Is this simplified? And the answer is no. And the reason why is this is 14. It needs to be less than 10. So I need to make this 14 smaller. So my decimal point is here. I have to bring it back to 1.4. So my answer is going to be 1.4 times 10, not to the first power, because when I make this number smaller, I have to make my exponent larger by 1. So if I move it over my decimal place over once, I'm going to add 1. If I need to move it over twice, I'm going to add 2. So this final answer is 1.4 times 10 to the second power. Now, scientific notation is a lot of fun when we're multiplying and dividing. Go ahead and watch this video again so you can see how we handled each of the different types of problems. And hang in there, guys. Work hard, and you will make math simple for you.